Welcome to Alaska, land of scenic grandeur, exotic wildlife, startling contrasts, and above all, home of the best freshwater fishing in the world. You've heard of that state that boasts 10,000 lakes? Well, Alaska has 3 million lakes, 2 million of them over 20 acres in size. And draining 4 separate mountain ranges and flowing from 5,000 glaciers are over 10,000 major rivers and streams. These empty into 2 oceans and 3 seas, and together with more coastline than the rest of the states put together, give Alaska one of the richest marine ecosystems in the world. And there's plenty of room for fishermen, too. We've got 1 million acres for every day in the year. Superimposed over a map of the continental United States, Alaska stretches from Savannah, Georgia to San Diego, California. An area larger than our 21 smallest states. 1/5 that of the entire United States. So now let's fly you to a remote Eskimo village on Alaska's rugged west coast, where we'll join our group of fishermen just landing to begin a week's adventure, matching wits with all 5 species of Pacific salmon, along with resident grayling, char, and rainbow. After a couple of hours of combined jet and prop aircraft flight from Anchorage, you finally step off your last plane. Here, 400 miles from the nearest highway. But that first breath of crisp, clean air quickly washes away the jet lag, cleans the mind and sharpens the senses, and you soon begin to realize you're somewhere unlike any place you've ever been before. The large tent-like building is actually a combination supply depot, warehouse, and repair facility that supports the upriver camps owned by our guide and outfitter for this trip, Captain Ron Hyde. Ron and his son Ron Jr. run Alaska River Safaris, one of the most experienced and well-thought-out guiding operations in Alaska. In no time, the Hydes and crew have you and your gear aboard a fleet of jet boats headed upriver to the main river camp. Now, the office and worries of the business world back home easily fade from memory, and it's time to lean back, relax, and enjoy 40 miles of pristine river, your new highway to adventure. Ron's camps are located on a 3-branch river system coursing through a deep 4.3 million acre wilderness known as the Togiak National Wildlife Refuge. It is nice to know that because it's preserved forever by law in this truly wild state, there will never be development here. While many lodges rely upon weather-dependent aircraft for daily fly-out fishing, Alaska River Safaris uses high-speed jet boats, both inboard and outboard, that are never grounded on cloudy or rainy days. Because all 5 species of Pacific salmon, plus trophy rainbow trout, grayling, and char, are all found in this one unique river system, there's no need to fly anywhere else. And because it is a very shallow river system, there are very few spots where float planes can land, thus ensuring a minimum of fishing pressure that amounts to less than 1 angler per 10 miles of river. And miles of river there are. With all the braided feeder creeks and streams, there's over 1,000 miles of fishable water. That's enough for a lifetime of fishing without seeing. Instead of a lodge in a fixed location, Alaska River Safaris uses a mobile tent camp that can be moved, if need be, to whatever area offers the best fishing. In fact, some of the best fishing on the river starts right in front of the camp. The tents are really more like cabins, especially designed high-tech with insulated walls for maximum comfort even under Arctic conditions. In addition to a large dining and meeting tent, there are 6 two-man guest tents, each with a hardwood floor and thermostatic propane heater, and cots with padding for the sleeping bags. Hot showers are available in a special tent built for that purpose. Even away from home, young anglers are still told they have to wash their hands before eating. All the comforts of home, including electric lights powered by silent solar panels instead of noisy diesel generators. The camp pantry is well stocked with fresh meat and produce flown in several times a week. It takes a big crew to properly run a personalized fishing operation. These additional tents, set apart from the rest, are for the staff. Gear stowed and anticipation building, it doesn't take long to rig, tackle, and get into the action. By the end of the first day, everyone's a little tired from catching fish, and Ken figures out his own way to take things a little bit easier for a while. For some strange reason, after dinner, there's little socializing as everyone disappears into their tents. To dream of that shadow that could be a once-in-a-lifetime trophy working his way upstream. It takes a hearty breakfast and some serious fishing talk to make proper plans for the day. But those formalities somehow seem to take very little time. Then it's back on the water for a thrilling early morning jet boat ride down a magnificent river that's just awakening to a new day. A journey that doesn't take long. In search of that special spot where there are sure to be a lot of fish. Ron Hyde and angler Bob Stearns decide that their first effort will be for big rainbows. Because of the huge numbers of salmon that return to spawn each year, western Alaska streams like this have a large population of resident rainbows. Most of these fish average 20 inches in length, but 30-inch 10-pounders are taken every year, and some even larger. The water is shallow, except for some deep pools, mostly along cutbanks. The river currents are moderate and allow easy wading along the firm gravel bottom. If you remember to bring your polarized sunglasses, the clear water makes it possible to see many of these fish before you cast to them. It doesn't take long for Chuck to spot this rainbow and convince it to take a fly. All rainbows are released here unless severely injured, and this one is no exception. Other anglers are quick to follow Chuck's lead, and in short order, everyone is enjoying the fast action. Some anglers find this river's trophy-sized grayling too exciting to pass up. Never a large fish when compared to salmon, they still provide superb action on light tackle. Because they are so willing to take dry flies, they offer a special treat to those who enjoy the visual aspect of this type of fishing, often flashing a high sailfish-like dorsal as they strike. They're considered a trophy if longer than 20 inches, like this one.
You see him yet, Chuck?
Yeah, he's a male humpy, I thought.
By now, the others have moved on to the salmon. Chuck soon hooks a large male humpback salmon, bright silver and fresh from the Bering Sea. Also called pinks or humpies, these are the smallest of the 5 species of Pacific salmon found in Alaska and seldom top 8 pounds.
I can see him. Look at this, like he's running like hell.
Most experienced fly fishermen prefer 3 to 5 weight tackle for these fish, because when not overgunned with gear that's too heavy, they put up a good hard fight.
This doesn't get any better, man. Now he is fresh run, right? Yeah. Not silver, he's been in here for
I'm on Bob Stearns' Midnight Sculpin.
That's it. Basic fly. So fish on, baby.
Fish cannot ignore. Give them the midnight scalping.
Okay, now he can go complete his spawning duties.
Give another one. Give another one.
Downriver, Wally has Bud preserve a trophy pink on film that's so ocean fresh, the sea lice that can only live in salt water still cling to its skin. Extremely abundant during even-numbered years and willing to take almost any type of lure or fly, pink salmon are especially good fun for young animals. Just a few miles from Tidewater, Ron Jr. gets Laura and her dad into a fresh school of chum salmon. Laura quickly finds out chums are possibly the most underrated fish in Alaska. When they first arrive at the mouth of the river, they're silver bright, strong, and willing to take to the air when hooked. Throughout history, Eskimos have used dried chum salmon to feed their sled dogs, and as a result, they've been nicknamed dog salmon. Probably because of this association, they haven't been a much sought-after target for sports fishing. But Chuck and Bob can tell you that that's all changing. When hooked 2 at a time, chum salmon are more than a handful, and definitely have other ideas about how this contest should end.
No, they're not. Now they give you a little bone fish. Give you a little. Who's in charge of this deal over here? It looks like a Chinese fire girl. Remember at the phone, they shake like a big glass of valve, and they dog it like a pig. Oh, that's really a fresh one you got there, Chuck. It's a nice fish. You got a big male, Bob? Yeah, big male. That's a nice fish, Bob.
Averaging about 8 to 12 pounds, but sometimes reaching 20, these fish are fast earning the respect they deserve. Around here, we call them the river tuna. Many minutes pass after Bob's chum has been landed and released before Chuck can show his off. But sometimes the smallest anglers still manage to catch the biggest fish. In this case, a large male chum sporting his calico-striped spawning colors. This guy doesn't take any chances on Little George's intentions. He's out of here. When the excitement begins to slow a little, hungry stomachs begin to think about lunch. Fortunately, the camp chef is amply provided for such emergencies. Once each week, however, when the weather is right, everyone gathers for a fresh-caught shore lunch. To ensure a healthy run each year, only those fish injured or destined to be eaten in camp or on the riverbank are killed. Nothing beats fresh salmon or char caught only minutes before going into the frying pan, along with home fries and other tasty treats. It's an overwhelming temptation to justify huge calorie intakes with self-promises of future exertions. What could be better in this world than constant action on a river full of silver fish, shared with just a few friends, in a pristine setting, worlds away from the everyday trials and tribulations of home? After seeing, catching, and eating so many salmon, it's easy to take these magnificent fish for granted. But each species of Pacific salmon share a truly remarkable life history. By late fall, each spawning stream has been transformed into a curious and unique nursery. Billions of eggs have been fanned by the females into the gravel below, blending with it to form an endless living carpet of developing salmon. After it grows enough to hatch, it still carries its yolk sac outside the egg to sustain it through the winter and enable it to remain safe within the protective gravel canopy. By the time these alevin, as they are called, finally absorb all of the yolk sac, they have grown enough to leave the stream and become vicious miniature predators called fry. Moving to the shallows, they feed voraciously on anything alive, under, on, or above the surface. Each species differs in what they do next, but each spends a period in fresh water from as little as a few days for the pinks to as much as 3 years for the sockeye. Then they migrate to saltwater as smolts, taking on the more familiar adult silver coloration. After an adjustment period near shore, they head out to the open sea to mature. From 1 to 7 years pass, depending on the species, and then each salmon responds to that ancient instinct to return to the exact waters where its life began. Traveling thousands of miles, each fish miraculously follows a chemical imprint trail until it arrives back at the mouth of its home river. As it enters fresh water, it stops feeding, and traveling upstream, it gradually takes on the red coloring, and if it's a male, the characteristic hooked snout of the spawning salmon. Sometimes the streams run shallow, but the fish still crowd and surge upstream until the chemical makeup of the water matches the one in their memory. Then, as frenetically as it began, the journey is over. For nature dictates that all Pacific salmon must die a few days after spawning. From June on into the fall, the latecomers have to make their way through a thickening soup of dead, dying, and disintegrating salmon. But in these barren northland streams, what appears as waste is really bounty. For it is this very process of massive death that supplies the nutrients for the generations to come. Now, let's go down to tidewater to pit technique and tackle against the largest of all salmon species, the mighty king. Since kings average about 35 pounds and have been caught frequently over 70, they require careful attention to tackle and how it's rigged. Our guide, Eric, has everybody ready and into position to back troll into the center. This is a system where the boat actually moves forward at a speed slower than the river, so lures drift back into the deeper holes where the kings prefer to lie. Hook up! All right, Arnie.
Where's the fish?
Okay.
6 o'clock, 50 feet. Keep a tight line. Keep pressure on them.
Eric decides it'll be easier for Arnie to land this fish from the obstacle-free beach. It's a biological fact that all salmon stop feeding when they enter fresh water, but they still strike at lures out of either instinct or irritation. In the case of the king, the actual taking of the lure can be quite gentle. After that, look out. They can do almost anything. Just when you begin to relax and think you've won the battle, sight of the boat or shore sends them surging off with a second wind that's amazing.
Nice fish, Arnie.
Hey, good one, Arnie. All right. Beautiful. Neil.
Nice fish.
Neil's the next to hook up.
Look at him, Jim. Look at him, Jim. Watch that slack.
All right, come on.
Hey, all right. Yeah, really beautiful.
Looking good, Neil. Looking good.
By the time he gets his to the beach, everybody's suited up for some nasty weather that's moved in.
Hey, all right, buddy.
Now it's Woody's turn. A big king is tough on any tackle, but on light bass gear like this, it's sure to be a long fight.
Watch your slack. Watch your slack. Keep tension in that rod. Woo! Keep that line tight. You see the fish? Got him.
All right.
Who's got who? He's coming up. He's coming up.
Here he comes.
Many minutes pass before it's finally beached.
Beautiful fish. That's a nice fish. That's a beautiful fish.
Good fish. Good fish.
God, nice one.
That's a nice fish.
Boy, that is so.
It'll probably take one more whole cast to get another hookup.
Meanwhile, an injured king that's destined for the dinner table also serves extra duty in front of the camera. Many anglers like John Olch consider catching a big king on a fly to be the ultimate freshwater fishing challenge. This becomes even more exciting when the fish can be sighted and cast to in shallow water, where the hooked king will usually make long runs and also jump more often. Landing one of these giant torpedoes is the thrill of a lifetime and a memorable trophy. Late summer and fall is the prime time for silver salmon, but the first schools start to arrive in the system as early as late July. Ron Sr. makes sure everybody's properly rigged. Silvers enjoy the reputation as the strongest, most aggressive, and hardest fighting of the salmon. They average 8 to 10 pounds and top out around 20, so it's important not to make any mistakes by rushing things. Ken tries for one with a pixie on spinning tackle, a guaranteed combination for a quick hit. That didn't take long. But when he gets it into shore, we can see it's not a silver at all, but a trophy-sized Dolly Varden. These fish follow the salmon runs and can attain a weight of up to 10 pounds. Dollies are ferocious fighters for their size and always seem to try to wrap as much line around themselves as possible with their incessant twisting and rolling. It's only a matter of time. There we go, Bob's got a silver on. Most anglers rate the silver right up there with the Atlantic salmon, especially on a fly rod. And you'll catch many more silvers during an average day's fishing. Silvers usually take to the air early. Then, if slackline doesn't do you in, they try bracing their bodies broadside to the water with quick swings and long sweeps. Bob needs a little help on this one. Whoa, now Ted's got his hands full. If they don't break you off on a jump or a snag, they're always good at a last-ditch thrashing that leaves you soaked. Dave finds out there's another where that one came from. As the day wears on, Ron moves the anglers on to an exceptionally large school of fresh silvers. Time for everybody to get in the act. The action's so fast that some lose track of which direction to wind the reel.
Who's got a camera here?
Got a big one? And it's always a race to see whether fish or angler decides first about the release. Most of these silvers don't wait for the favor. Ron helps Dave land another one of those beautiful dollies.
50 line. That's the dip comes over.
All Pacific salmon eventually turn red before spawning. This one is just starting to pink up and develop the hooked snout typical of the males. Now that the flurry of activity is over on the school, Dave goes off by himself to try to coax a couple of healthy-looking lunkers he spotted earlier out of their hole. What a way to wind up the day. The day's fishing seems over too quickly as the tired anglers enjoy a pleasant boat ride back to camp. Meanwhile, the chef is busy preparing a steaming plate of salmon tempura. Served piping hot as you step off the boat. Fishing just can't get any better than this. Outside of those injured fish relegated to the table, each angler keeps 2 or 3 to be frozen for the trip home. We found most wives demand at least this much evidence. In case you think that fish is all you'll get in an Alaska fishing camp, just take a look at this succulent baked ham.
Where is it? You're really hungry.
The camp chef is a real expert, even down to the freshly baked rolls.
For what? It'd be ironic
Somehow food never tastes as good as it does out here. And one thing's for sure, it's probably a lot easier to swallow than a lot of the stories going around the dinner table right now. Some guys just don't know when to quit. Dinner for them is just another necessary interruption to their hours on the river. After all, it's the last day, the last evening, the last chance. Impending nightfall finally finds most of our weary anglers gathered around the proverbial campfire. You find that even thoughts of the trip home get pushed quickly aside. You keep drifting back to those moments when it was just you out there, alone, with that vast, wild openness of Alaska washing over you. With a strange curiosity, you become aware of a new sense of belonging. A sense perhaps awakened by ancient memories buried deep within all of us, that our dependence on the natural world is firmly rooted in our survival.